Hello everyone and welcome back to another Dark Souls beginner guide video. So last time we defeated the Bell Gargoyles and then I ran down here and told you could come look over here for this sorcerer because the crestfallen warrior here mentioned that there was a sorcerer that ran off to Undead Burg and never returned. I also mentioned that there was a key and stuff, and I showed you that you could jump on a pillar and get this key. Told you to explore a bit. So an interesting thing you may have stumbled across is this pool of water here. You'll hear snoring, and if you look you can see that there's a hatch there. You'll only hear the snoring if you've rung the bell, so that's kind of a hint that ringing the other bell is going to do something else. So what we're gonna do first, we're going to go ahead and get this optional side area taken care of because there is a ring that's going to be kind of helpful in this video, but going to be way more helpful in the next video. So we're going to want to get that now before we head down and it's too late. One disadvantage to 60 frames right now is that normally you can roll and get that pillar there if you're running 30 frames, but on 60 you actually have to make a jump. And since jumping is just a tad clunky in this game, I rolled instead of jumped. So now I fell all the way down to the cemetery, and I've got to go back up the lift and back on that spot and make the jump again. Which isn't a problem, it's just some wasted time. But if you run over here, you can take the lift up to the spot again. And it doesn't matter which side, the right side of this lift from this perspective is easier because there's a hole there, but as long as you hang tight then you should be fine. And the easiest way to jump is to get your character kind of sprinting before you jump and sprint in circles and then just move straight and jump like that. First things first, we have to get this key. That's the whole point of us making this trip, is we got to use this key to get a ring. So, after you get the key, you can run and jump over here to get back on so you don't have to make that terrible jump. But again, my guy didn't want to jump, he wanted to roll instead, so I've got to go back up the elevator and make that jump again. And I even miss it again, so I'm going to skip ahead and get to the part where I actually make the jump. Alright, so we're back over here, and my character's naked to make the run faster and easier. And you run and jump like that, get up over that bump, which that doesn't bother you in 30 FPS, but for whatever reason in 60 it does. Then you want to run up here and up this other staircase that we didn't go up before, and stick to the outside. If you go inside, there's a hole that you'll fall through. You can kind of see it around the nest here. You'll fall all the way down, and you don't want that. And then you just curl up in the ball for a little while here, and eventually you're going to see a little cutscene. This can take 10 seconds or 20 seconds, maybe at the most. I wouldn't guess it'd be that long, so just sit here and wait for a little bit. And here's our cutscene. There we are, and there's the bird, you know, flying us away somewhere. That's actually going to take us back to the beginning area, where we did the tutorial and everything, except it's much harder now. This isn't going to be like, hey, just run through here and, you know, it's going to be super easy, because now these guys have torches, but not only that is, for me, they took 2 hits to kill. And they do some pretty good damage. So, definitely you're going to want to approach this more carefully. You're really probably not supposed to come here yet, but it's best that you do, because we're going to head down, like really far down, where it's going to be kind of a pain to run all the way back up and then run all the way back down again. So what you want to do is avoid running in the center of the room here, because this floor will fall out and you'll fight an optional boss. And you don't want that to happen right now because it's really strong and you're totally not ready for it. I will attempt a little bit of it, but I don't make it, and the fight lasts a really long time, so I'm going to have to trim it later. But we're not going to worry about that right now. The first thing you want to do is get this bonfire right here. And we're back in the very beginning of the game. We're going to go back to our cell where we were locked up at the beginning, which is just down that pit there and down this hallway. Except instead of fighting easy guys or just running through here, there's actually a black knight at the end of the hallway who's going to attack us. And there's an item back there. So deal with the black knight however you deal with him. Or I guess you can try and run past him. It's probably not a good idea though, because he'll catch up. And he's pretty strong. And whenever he decides to attack here, come on, there we go. That should take care of him. Black Knight Sword and Red Titanite Chunk. Man, I am super lucky with drops this time. What we really wanted to come in here for is the Peculiar Doll. And that's not going to be something we're going to use right now, but it lets you into an optional area of the game, which I recommend you go into. But that is later, pretty far later into the game. And this demon that was pacing back and forth when we were first here is now just standing there, waiting. And as you can probably put together, if you fall through the floor where I said you were going to and fight the boss, you're going to end up fighting that thing. So you want to avoid fighting him because he is much stronger right now. And really the easiest way to beat him is with a bleeding weapon, which we do not have right now. So, well, actually we do have one, but it's kind of weak and slow. So we'll come back when we have a better weapon. Now, if you run up these stairs, you're gonna fight Oscar. Oscar was the guy at the beginning who dropped the body into our cell with a key on it so that we could escape, and he also gave us the Estus flask, and he told us the legend of ringing the bell of awakening, which he didn't even know that there were two, but there are two. So he actually went hollow, and that's why he's attacking us, because when you go hollow, you go insane. And that's why this curse is so deadly, is because people like your character are sane at the moment. But later, you could turn into Oscar, where he was a friend, he was helping you, and now he's attacking you. But if you come back and defeat him like this, you get his shield, the Crest Shield, which has 80% magic resistance, which is really great. It only weighs 1 more pound than the heater shield, and it's got pretty good stats for everything else too. And if you remember, he was sitting there, that's where we got the flasks. So, unfortunately, you have to kill him, but you get a shield out of it, so you might as well. Next, we'll take care of this boulder guy, which I mistimed my attack terribly there, so that's something you don't want to do. And then we want to run back this way. Seems kind of weird that we killed him, but then we won't have to kill him later because we will have to run where he was in a second. But first, I want to run back here and fight the other Black Knight that's in this area. They put 2 in this area, 1 guarding something, and then this one just kind of here. I want to show it to you just in case you didn't get a sword so far. Here's a really good chance to get one of their swords if you were planning on using a great sword. Because it is just a fantastic sword to use. Seriously, if you get that and you upgrade it and you put the stats into it, you can use that sword for the whole game. So, Red Titanite Chunk, that's to be expected, and you might get a sword. I'm actually kind of glad I didn't get another sword because the drop rate should not be as high as it is for me. I have no idea why I'm so lucky, but it is. I've seen people max out their item discovery and go and kill these guys and still get nothing. So I'm actually really surprised that I'm getting this stuff. So we gotta deal with these guys again. This archer. Same guys as before, except they do more damage. Then we're gonna, well, loot him and run over here. And now there's 2 of these guys. There was only 1 in here last time we were here. I have no idea why that wasn't a parry, but it wasn't, so I guess I'll just have to attack him normally. I am just doing terrible. Let me do this the long way. There we go. Alright, what did he drop? His shield. Alright, that's okay, I guess. But the main reason why we came here is to unlock that side, because we couldn't without getting the key that was there in Firelink. And then we want to grab this ring, the Rusted Iron Ring, which tells you, if you go to your ring section, that it will give you better footing in poor ground, such as swamps. So, anytime you find your character running slowly when he was running just fine, typically that can be solved with this ring. So if you're running through water and your character slows down a lot, and you'll notice when he does that, because it is pretty substantial, you can put on this ring and you'll completely negate that effect, which is really nice for the areas we're about to go into. So I'm gonna hop down here and I gotta deal with these guys, but I'm also gonna show you this optional boss fight I was talking about. So you have to expect that he's going to be kind of difficult because everything else around here is difficult. So you're going to want to rest at a bonfire, get your flasks, get ready, and do all that if you want to attempt this. I don't advise attempting this right now because that is just not something you want to put yourself through. He is weak to bleeding, which means you want to find any weapon that has a bleeding modifier on it. And so you look down here in auxiliary effects, it says bleeding, poison, divine, occult, all that. And I'll move my cursor over here. That 300 bleeding, you're looking for anything that has a number here. Typically it's going to be 300. But sometimes it's more or whatever. You're looking for a weapon that does that. As a thief, you start with a dagger called the Bandit's Knife that has that, which is a really, really good weapon for fighting this boss. Because bleeding has a special thing where it's all dependent on the number of hits you do in succession. So, the more hits you can do in a short period of time, the quicker the enemy will bleed out. And obviously, you want him to bleed out faster, that way you can beat him faster. So, faster weapons with bleed are advised, but that doesn't mean that they're the only ones that can do it. This Morningstar kinda sucks. Honestly, it's really slow and doesn't do any damage right now because I don't have it upgraded. And, not to mention, when you fall through the floor, he's gonna immediately try to attack you. And he does a ton of damage. So, this is going to be a really long fight here in the beginning, just because I have to get in a good spot where I can heal, and then I gotta switch to my weapon and try to get him to bleed. And you'll see that I really don't do much to him. Always stay behind him if you can, and watch out for things like that, where you can still get hurt even though it doesn't look like it. And I actually already got him to bleed once, which is surprising, because I struggled with it in this fight for a long time. And he's gonna do all these magic blasts. You still get hurt. The timing on that is really weird. When he stabs in the ground like this, he'll do an area effect around him. More so in the front, but still in behind, so you can't stand right behind him. You can see it's just so stubby, and it swings so slow that usually your opportunity goes away before you can even get a chance to do anything to him. but we're going to keep attacking him. And if I had a dagger, I would have gotten 2 or 3 hits on him and then ran away. But with this, it's like if I miss my attack, I'm kind of screwed. So you want to run up and hit him as quickly as you can, because the more you wait, the more that bleed counter goes down. Because when you get hit with something bleeding, you get a little bar that drains over time. Well, bosses have the same thing. You can't see it, but they have it too. So you want to try and build up this bar, because probably whatever bleed I'm building up right now with the Morning Star, I'm not getting enough hits in it to make him bleed. Because the bar is just draining so fast. So if you're doing this, you want to try and get at least 2 hits with the Morning Star. See if I can get him to bleed again. That was 2. That's good. Alright, keep doing that. There we go, that's bleed. So you heard the special sound there, and his health bar went down dramatically. That is bleeding. Even though it said it only did like 41, it did a lot more than that. Now, just to put in perspective, if I attack him with my upgraded longsword that I've been using the whole game, I'm doing 36 per hit, and that's not very good. Basically what the Morning Star was doing to him, except this doesn't have bleed. And it swings a little faster, but it's really not worth it. And you could attack him like this all day and kill him that way. But that's really not the best strategy. Even if I do like a thrusting attack, or power attack, which is a thrusting attack for me, I don't do that much damage. So this whole fight is going to be way too hard for you right now. I wanted to show you why you don't want to fight this. I was hoping to actually beat it with the Morning Star, even though that's really tough, so I wouldn't have to come back here later. But it's just not really a thing you should worry about right now. But like I said, I wanted to show that to you so that you know not to come down here, because you're going to have to deal with what I'm dealing with. And it's not very fun. So, say you went into the boss fight, and you really didn't want to. You fell in there by accident, you didn't know how big the hole in the floor was going to be. Whatever the case is, that's fine. Just remember that you have homework bones. So, if you do fall in here, which I'm falling in here to grab my souls and stuff, you're going to want to run over here somewhere, try to grab your stuff, and then run away. I'm going to heal just to be safe, and then I'm going to return to the bonfire. And that's really how easy it is to escape a boss fight you don't want to do. So, after you do that, we're going to just go ahead and leave this area. We've done pretty much everything but this boss, which is completely optional. You don't ever have to come back here and do that if you don't want to. But I do want to mention that near the end of the game, well, not even the end, pretty much halfway through the game, that boss is going to be much, much easier, because we're going to have a lot better weapon. So, you can come back here and you will completely smoke him later. With or without a bleeding type weapon, it'll be much easier. So, we're going to probably come back here and kill him, but you don't have to if you don't want to. And that right there is Snuggly the Crow, which is an invisible NPC that you can trade items with. Now, how you trade in this game is you drop an item. I'm going to drop the rubbish. And then you quit your game, and you reload back into your game here. And Snuggly will have a different item for you. And in this case, I get a Titanite chunk, which is a much better trade than rubbish. And we'll probably use that later. You can trade various items. There's a list of it online. I don't know them by memory because I don't really do it. But there is a list of things you can trade, and some of it is pretty helpful. So if you have extra whatever, say you have a weapon I think there are some weapons that snugly trades. You drop a sword, it gives you maybe some souls or some humanity. Something like that. There are a lot of things you can trade for that. But after you do that, we're gonna, go on the nest, fly over here, and we're gonna want to get down. So we're gonna go back the way we came. I find the quickest way down is to roll onto this building and avoid that hole there, and then fall onto these broken columns, onto this second level here. Sometimes you can make that jump. It's kind of hard to make. And just go into Firelink like you would normally. And definitely rest at this bonfire. Don't forget to do that, because if you do, you're going to be going back to the asylum, and you're going to have to fly all the way over here again, and then run up this hill. So make sure you rest at the bonfire. So the whole point of that really long delay was to get a ring, which is going to be beneficial in this video, but way more beneficial in the next video. So definitely something you want to go do. You just don't have to do the boss or fight those Black Knights if you don't want to. You can wait on them. That's all pretty much optional. Just get the ring at least. Which, if you're going to get the ring, then you're gonna probably have to fight Oscar. Unless you're really good and you can run away from him. But anyway, we're gonna go up the waterway and up the staircase here. And we gotta make it all the way back to the bridge with the flying red drake. That comes and incinerates the whole area and all that fun. I find the best way to go is this way, even though you're gonna get burned by him. So that's something to look out for. You could go in the back way by going up the lift in Firelink Shrine, and then going through the church with the gargoyles, backwards, down the path, through the gate where the boar was, and then back under where the dragon perches himself. And that works for a little bit, except since we went to the asylum and came back, there is at least one loading screen involved in that. Actually, at least two. And he is not going to be sitting up there anymore. He's actually going to want to do his initial sweep in, burn the bridge, and then he'll sit up there and stay up there until we run under him. So it really doesn't matter which way you go. You're going to get burned unless you go all the way through where you fought the Taurus demon, which is going across this little bridge to the left and going through all of that, climbing up the tower with that crystal lizard we killed, and doing all of that, then running across the long bridge with where we fought the Taurus demon. I'm just killing these things because I wanted to make sure nothing's following me here. These guys really shouldn't follow you, but I wanted to make sure. So you could go that way. I'm not going to go that way. And actually, I missed a guy. See, there he is. Oh well. That's fine. He's not going to follow me. But I'm going to go up this ladder here. And go this way. When you pop out up here, you can hear the dragon flapping his wings. He's going to do that burn. And then now he's behind me, but he's going to burn the bridge again. So I'm going to get hit. And I just happen to have barely enough health to survive that. If you're finding that you're dying every time, you can try and turn around and block it with your shield. And if you're dying every time even with that, then just go the Taurus demon way. We came down and talked to Solaire. He's still here. He has nothing different to say, but you can talk to him if you want. But ultimately, you want to get to this spot. Because this door I pointed out in one video, we couldn't open because we didn't have the key, but now we have the key. So we can go down this ladder here. And you can climb down the ladder like this, or you can press B on an Xbox controller, or circle on a PlayStation controller, and you'll go slide down the ladder instead, which is much faster. And I've seen some videos of people not know about that. So I want to point that out because it's just a helpful little trick. They don't really talk about it ever. It's just something you have to find out. go ahead and kill these guys. Basically what we did is we made a giant loop back near the Undead Burg bonfire so that we can get down here a lot easier without having to deal with the dragon. I don't know why they did that, why even have us do that. We should just use the key to run down here, but whatever, that works out. Now you're going to run into some new enemies when you're down here. First, you're going to run into these demon hound things. You can call them undead dogs or hellhounds or whatever you want to call them. These guys are annoying. Sometimes they jump in the fire like that one, but they do jumping attacks and they bite at you. And then when you go to attack them, they usually jump backwards and you miss. And if there's more than one, it can be a pain because you'll get hit by one and then another one will bite you and you can die easily from that.
Somebody, please let me out of here. Somebody, anybody, help me. Unlock the door. Damn, I'm finished. How did this ever happen?
So this is really the main reason why you want your residence key, which you can buy from that merchant, because you can get into this room here, and this guy is the sorcerer that the crestfallen warrior guy had alluded to. He said, hey, there's a sorcerer somewhere, he never came back. It's because he was locked in this house, and we happen to have the key.
You opened the door for me. Thank you. I'm saved. I thought I might never escape. I am Griggs of Vinheim, a sorcerer of the school. I am much obliged for your assistance. Thanks to you, I may now resume my travels.
So this is your introductory sorcerer.
I will rest a while. I have my sorcery. And besides, I have an important task at hand.
He's not really going to tell us anything right now. That's fine.
Besides,
but he is your basic sorcerer, where we could talk to the blacksmith, the magic blacksmith, who's down in New Londo, underneath Firelink Shrine there. But he really doesn't sell very many spells. This guy, he'll go back to Firelink, he'll become a little sorcerer shopkeeper, and he'll sell more spells, actually stuff that's going to be useful. And then later, there will be another guy that will sell even better stuff, but that's near the end of the game, depending on which way you want to go. So he's going to be a nice start if you really wanted to get into sorcery, but you didn't choose the sorcerer. He'll be there to sell you anything and basically put you up with where the sorcerer started. You just picked up the sorcerer robes, and he'll be there to sell all the sorceries they had. So that is how you become a sorcerer early game if you wanted to use magic. Now when you run past a little further here, we're going to run into another new enemy, the Hollow Thief. These guys, they're going to attack you with these bandit knives. So if you don't have a bandit knife, you can get one from these guys if they drop it. But most importantly, notice that they do bleeding damage to you, because it only takes them a few hits to get you to bleed, and you can lose a lot of health really quick if you're not watching. I got their legs. That's not really what I wanted, but whatever. So notice that they do that. They can also parry you and riposte you, which there's a certain style. You'll notice it when they do it, and I'll try to point it out when I see it. But be aware, even though they look really weak, they do a lot of flips, they do throwing knives, they do bleeding damage, they do all this stuff. It's kind of a pain to deal with them, and they can kill you quickly. So, in one of the buildings one ran out of, you can get Mailbreaker, which is a small thrusting sword. It's got about the same stats as any other thrusting sword, like Estoc here, and Estoc has a much longer range than Mailbreaker. So Mailbreaker's more like a dagger, but it's technically a thrusting sword. So I don't really ever use it, but there are some people that like using it. But mainly I just wanted to point out that you could get that there just in case you wanted another weapon to use. So this alley here, you gotta watch out, because there are gonna be more thief guys that ambush you, but there's also this undead dog. And there should be another one. I don't know where it is. I don't know why it didn't come forward, but there is another undead dog somewhere. and he'll rush up and attack you. That move there, that is the parry. If you attack while they're doing that, they will parry you and they will riposte you, which their riposte is a neck slice, which doesn't kill you instantly, but it does a lot of damage. So just be careful. And my third thief is apparently stuck in this house, so whatever. There's that other dog. Take him out. Run in here. And you get the black leather stuff and the target shield. So if you wanted the thief character's armor, you just picked it up right there. And that fog is the boss down here. Something that we have to kill, but we're not going to kill it right now. So if you wanted to be a thief, you can kill these guys to get the knife, and then you can pick up the black leather stuff, and you can immediately become a thief class without the master key. Unless you chose the master key as your starting gift. At which point, then you could become the thief class if you really wanted to. So like I said at the beginning of this walkthrough series, is that you can get any armor that any of the classes have. So you see the armor I'm wearing, if you didn't choose this guy, you can still get the armor, which actually we'll get pretty shortly. And the bandit character, or the sorcerer character, or whatever, you can all get that armor somewhere in the game. So you'll never be deprived of any starting gear that you see and you're like, oh man, I really wanted that. In fact, pretty much anything you see an enemy wearing, or say a computer invader attacks you, you can get that gear in this game. Basically anything you see you can get. Just keep that in mind and I will show you where to get all that stuff. It's gonna be kind of out of the way and you're gonna pick it up throughout the game, so it's not something that we can get instantly, but pretty much any armor you want or see you can get. Alright, this merchant here, she's also the undead merchant. So there's undead merchant male and undead merchant female. That's how they describe them in the wikis and stuff. Anyway, she sells this moss stuff, which you're going to want to get probably at least 4 of the blooming, which is expensive, I know, but you're going to love it later. And she also sells various poison things and other mosses, homeward bones if you need more of those. Lots of different arrows, including fire and poison, which most people don't sell right now. So make sure you go through her inventory and read up on everything. Something that you might really want from her, go ahead and get it. Because we're not going to be back here for a little while, so get it now while you can. Now, make sure you run down the waterway this way, which looks like a really long run. But eventually you're going to get to this door here. And we're going to open it up, and this will take you all the way back to Firelink, which is really, really awesome, because if you haven't been kindling and that kind of stuff, or don't have the humanity to kindle, now you're going to go from the bonfire that gave you 10 flasks in the very beginning by default, and you can run anywhere down in Lower Undead Burg from there, which is actually probably the quicker way down there than dealing with all the hollow thieves and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go back to Firelink here, and we'll go ahead and talk to the sorcerer guy, because he'll sell you sorceries.
Oh, I regret meeting you under such compromising circumstances. At least we both made it back unscathed. Oh, hello. Terrific to see us both in one, and pray that you never...
So if he doesn't offer to sell you sorcery,
Terrific
like he's not for me, it's because you don't have 10 intelligence. Now, I have 9 intelligence, so I could take my next level up and put it up in 1 point in intelligence, and then I can talk to him. If you do have 10 intelligence, you should be able to talk to him. He should say, hey, do you want to learn sorceries? And you say yes. And then he'll offer some rings, some spells, and some other stuff. I think he sells the Sorcerer Catalyst, but you should have that by now. And he should have all that ready to sell to you if you're the sorcerer class. I'll cover that in the next video because I don't have the intelligence for it, and I'm gonna go ahead and just play through the game rather than try to level up once. I probably could level up right now. I'm not sure what my level up requirement is, but I'll do that in the next video anyway. There's gonna be another guy later that's also going to go to Firelink, and at that time I'm gonna make the trip back. But I wouldn't recommend that you make the trip back at that time because it's kind of a long run, but I guess you can if you want to. Now, we're going to run back down this waterway here, and we're going to go all the way down to that boss fog we saw earlier. So, that boss is actually going to be a pain to do by yourself, not because he's hard, because they kind of screw you over. And they do that because they throw a couple undead dogs in there with him, and he does a lot of damage himself. So you can get stunned by a dog and then hit by that guy's swords and take a lot of damage. So there are a couple strategies to defeating him. I'll talk about those when we get there. But just run back and try and take care of these Hollow Thief guys. Hopefully you get a bandit's knife because it's kind of nice to have. I am just failing so hard in this video. Nope, nothing. Nope. Alright, whatever. Now, be careful when you run up here because the undead dogs will be back. And we're gonna have to take care of them too. And now, from here, if you don't go too far that way, the thief guys won't bother you. You can throw fire bombs over this wall, or poison things over this wall. Not this way, but the way with the fog gate. That's a strategy. You can look that up if you want. You can also just go through the fog like I'm gonna do, or summon a phantom, that also helps. But whenever you're ready to do the fight, just approach the fog like you always do and go through. Okay, so right out of the gate, you're just going to notice a lot of things are going on. You've got dogs biting at you and the boss. That's usually how people die right there. If you can make it up here, you can stand on this little archway, and actually the boss won't really hit you. He'll try to, but as long as you block and stand here, the boss should fall off like that. And he's going to have to run all the way back up to get to us. So, as long as you're up here, you should be pretty much safe. Killing the dog might be a pain. In this case, I fell, which is not something you want to do, because that's how you easily get screwed. I have no idea where my second dog is, but we're going to go ahead and just deal with it right now. Try and kill this one. And once you've got your dogs killed, it's just plunging attack and fighting this guy. And with his attacks, you can just roll or block them, really. He does do a lot of stamina damage, so just try and keep away from him. But yeah, you can pretty much just loop this from now on once you make it to this point. He's going to come up here, and you're going to feel trapped, but he swings again, falls off, plunging attack. And that's the way you can defeat him easily. Watch out for that jump attack. I guess my other dog is stuck. Not anymore, but now he's stuck. Let's go ahead and take him out. Watch out for the boss. Swinging. Plunging attack again. I'm just going to toy around with him for a little bit here to show you his movesets and blocking and dodging them. He's really not that tough, especially with our upgraded weapons. But you can see, he does really wide swings. This two-handed attack there does a lot of damage and drains a lot of stamina, but you can block it. I'll just go ahead and kill him now. Oh, I got hit with that. Whatever, he's dead. And Key to the Depths. And I got lucky again and got a Demon Great Machete, which is not something that he usually drops, but lucky me again. So now we're gonna go ahead and run over to this door with the torches over here, and that will take us to the depths, which is kind of a boring and annoying area, but you gotta go through it. So, fun little fact about the boss you just fought. If you remember, back like 2 videos ago, the shopkeeper guy told us, hey, there's a goat demon that you gotta go fight, and a bull demon up above, and a red drake up above too. Well, that was the goat demon. So, the Taurus demon was the bull demon, the red drake is on the bridge, and the boss we just fought is the goat demon. So, we're going the right way. From here on out, it's kind of our own path. There's really no direction. I mean, there really wasn't much direction before, but in this case, there's really no more direction. We're just gonna keep going through the areas, and eventually we'll find our way through the game. Now, the depths is pretty straightforward. There's really not much you can do. You just go through the area, kill everything, and eventually you'll fight a boss, and you'll get another key that'll take you to the next area. And then, you know, you'll go through that area, you'll kill a boss, and then we'll have to figure out where to go from there. But pretty much the depths is just a kind of a filler area between here and the next area in the game. So they really just throw this in here to put new enemies in and new items and stuff. So, over there's a butcher, which he's going to be kind of tough, so we're going to try and take out these undead dogs here, which they are not one-hit kills anymore, they're stronger. But likewise, you get more souls for them. So instead of like 80 apiece, I got 100. So if you run up here, this is his like personal guard dog. If you fight this thing and kill it... Oh, yeah, you gotta watch out for him, too. But you fight that dog and kill it, and don't fall down here. Jeez. So, I'm lucky I have the rusted Iron Ring. I made it through there really quick. But things can get really crappy really fast. So, just keep your cool, and try and take things out one at a time if you can. So, like, we got a butcher and one of these weak hollow sword guys. If we just kill the hollow first, then we can deal with the butcher. With him, he does a lot of damage, but he's kind of slow. Like that. You can run up and backstab him, typically. Watch out for that. That is actually a grab attack, and it'll do a lot of damage to you, so just stay away from that if you can. And we're gonna try and get another backstab, maybe a parry if you're feeling ballsy, but I wouldn't worry about doing that. I'd just get backstabs. That's pretty much the easiest way to deal with him. And we take him out. I got a humanity from that, cool. And actually there are 2 butchers, which I just killed the second one. So the first one is still actually back up here, which is something I was going to try and avoid because I wanted you to see that there was another one in his hiding spot, but I kind of got knocked into the water and had to do what I had to do. So we'll kill the first butcher now. Same trick, just get a couple backstabs, he should be pretty much done. You can actually chain backstabs, so as he's getting up, if you wait a second, once he gets up, you can get another backstab. And he's done. So there are only 2 butchers, and one of them will drop the sack that is on their head. Guaranteed. It's always the last one, but you could get another one, I guess, if the first one drops it for you. And in this chest, very important you pick this up, it's the large ember. And you're going to give that to Andre later to make your weapons even stronger. So once you've gotten that, let's run back up here. And in this room here is the other guy I was talking about.
Please, you must help me.
He's trapped in a barrel, which you can just roll through, break him for him.
I would have been a supper without you. Been eaten alive. I shall thank you. Thank you dearly. I am Laurentius, or the Great Swan. I will not forget. Oh, hello. I'm fine.
So he's just here.
Oh, hello.
He tells you he's from the Great Swamp. You have no idea where that's at, and he doesn't even tell you what he does, but he is a pyromancer. So you could, if you wanted to, run all the way back to Firelink Shrine to talk to him. The second butcher's hiding spot is up on that little piece of wood in the corner there. And you run to about here, and he should want to drop down. I wanted to show that, but unfortunately things just didn't work out that way. So there are 2 ways to go further in the depths. You can go down this way and open that door down the hallway, or you can go to where the first butcher was and then go ahead and fall down this hole that's behind him here. This spot here, you drop down, there's a pile of skeletons and stuff here. You want to go this way along the wall and then run down this side here all the way over to this item, which is a spider shield, which is very resistant to poison. So it's a pretty good shield for poison areas if something's doing poison damage to you. Now, you're going to notice the giant rat here, and there's a couple methods to beating him. A lot of people just throw items from up here because you can. He's weak. He looks like he does a lot of damage or has a lot of health. He's really not that strong. You can throw a few fire bombs, weaken him down like this and kill him, or you can go ahead and do a plunging attack on him and do like 576 and pretty much kill him instantly. He guaranteed drops 1 humanity, hard humanity. And then you can just loot the stuff around here. Soul of a Nameless Soldier. Go over here. We're not going to follow this path. Soul of a Nameless Soldier. And then the main reason why I go this way is to get this key right here. Sewer Chamber Key. That's actually the key that leads us to the bonfire. So, very important that you get that because you can't get access to the bonfire before that. Now, this little waterfall here, you want to stick to the left. If you stick to the left, there's a little connecting path here. You drop down, and you want to run over to the right here, past that slime. He's not really going to do anything, they're too slow. You go up this really large staircase, and then go up this ladder here. And now you want to go up this staircase. Be careful of the torch guy. And use the sewer chamber key to open this door. Run down the hallway here. And boom, bonfire. This is the only bonfire in the area, so you don't really have to worry about anything. I would go ahead and kindle this, just because it'll be helpful to have when you run through here. Don't forget to repair your stuff every once in a while. I'm going to go ahead and level up too. I'll put a point into intelligence and faith, and then I'll put points into attunement so that I'll have at least 10 in everything. And attunement, when I level up, if you keep leveling it up, you'll get to a point where you'll see attunement slots go up. Your first slot is at attunement level 10, so I'm 1 point away from getting my first attunement slot. And I'm only really going to do that so I can show you guys some magic in the game. I'm not really doing it to build my character that way yet. I might invest into it later. Now, if you didn't go the way I went, you went through the other door, you have a little bit of a longer run, not too much different, but you're going to have to get past those slimes that fell, which they won't fall for you until you get here. So I'm going to run back to where you could have gone through that door so you can see your path. Also to the right here, there's another slime. They'll fall like this. The reason why I typically just avoid the slimes is because they don't give you very many souls, and they don't have that much health, but you don't do that much damage to them. So it just takes too long to kill them. Grab another soul. Run up here. Here's that door I said you could go through. And I'll just show you from this corner where we are. So if you look, there's some torch guys. That's where that undead butcher guy in the corner was waiting. More of the torch guys that we killed. As I said, you could run through this door. So if you did go through this door here, you could run across this room, get that item, and you would slow down unless you're wearing the rusted iron ring, like I am. And then you'd speed back up when you get here. Shallow water's not a problem. It's just like the ankle-high or deeper water that you have to worry about. Then you'd run down this hallway, trying to avoid the slimes. You'd most likely get stuck, and you wouldn't be able to get the slime. You wouldn't be able to open this door because you wouldn't have the key. And you can't go down this way because if you tried, this door would say, does not open from this side. And you wouldn't be able to go through here. And the rat would be in the other room there, so you wouldn't be able to go in there yet because it's blocked off. So your only other option would be to run down this way. You're going to want to deal with these rats. Grab this great axe. Get that rat there with his humanity. He doesn't always drop that, but rats do have a very high chance of dropping humanity. So that's something that you want to maybe try and farm if you're low. You can run down here and kill a bunch of rats. You killed this rat, killed these 3 rats over here. And then this, you can grab the key from this side right here. And then you'd run back up the path we just went down and open the door, and then you'd have your bonfire. So not too much longer of a run, but it is a little bit longer. So after you do that, I suggest going down the way I just went and explained, because we're going to want to run down here and get this soul. Then go through this fog. This is not a boss fight, so don't worry. And we've got 3 even bigger rats, and the bigger the rat, the more health they have and the more damage they do. So be careful, because even though they're rats, they can do a lot of damage to you in a short period of time. And here we have another channeler who he'll try to enrage the rats and make them do even more damage. And this big old room here we'll eventually get into, but not in this video. These 2 rats jump out of their boxes here. These boxes are empty, so don't worry about it. Then you run over here and grab this large Titanite shard, which we're going to need to upgrade our weapon past +5, which I'll show that in a future video. And we'll go to the right, try to kill this rat here. This is why it's nice to have a thrusting weapon every once in a while, because sometimes you just hit the wall instead. You can go down this way. There's a slime. There's nothing really back there. So we'll go down this way with this rat. Kill him. And this body has that soul I picked up after I killed the rat. Watch out for these holes in the ground, though, because you'll fall into these and end up in places in the depths that we haven't been to yet. And you would run up here and kill the giant rat if you haven't already. And say you didn't slide down to the left. And say instead you slid down on the right side, or maybe you accidentally slid down. This is what would happen. And if you're human, you're actually going to get invaded by a computer, which I do recommend you do, because if you want his gear, which is alright, then you have to get invaded by him here. He invades you 3 times in 3 different locations, and if you miss any of them, you don't get it. So, you would run down here, watch out for some more rats. Try and kill this rat. Here's our invader guy, who's right there. And he's going to be kind of tough. But at this point, you should have the bonfire down here. So it's not too much of a deal if you die, because we're actually not that far. He has some poise, so even though I hit him with my sword and he was swinging, he didn't stagger. But he's not that great of a computer invader, so you should be able to backstab him a couple times, maybe parry him. And most computers, when they stand back up, their first instinct is to hit you, so you can predict that there will be another parry there, and he'll be done. That's your first computer invader in the game. It says he's vanquished, you run up, it says retrieve power of dark spirit, you get a humanity from that, and he'll drop an item typically. If he doesn't, don't worry, you can get them later. But for me, he dropped his shield. Sometimes he drops his sword, sometimes he drops both. You can only get 1 copy of each, so if he doesn't drop anything, eventually he will drop some stuff. But once you get both the shield and the sword, he can't drop more of that, so once you get it, that's good. You won't have to worry about that, really. And if you fell through one of the holes, you'd end up somewhere over here, and you'd run into some new enemies we haven't seen yet. Like over here, we have these basilisk enemies. They have giant eyes, but those are actually decoy eyes. Their real eyes are tiny, and I can never get a good camera angle, but their real eyes are actually really tiny, if you look at them. It's very important, though, that you stay away from this mist, because that actually curses you, and cursing is terrible in this game. Basically, when you get cursed, you lose half of your health in this game, and you're hollow forever. There's no way to get human. There is a way to get rid of curse, which you have to do in order to go human again and then have your health back. So be very careful when running through here. We did buy a purging stone, which gets rid of curse, back when we beat the gargoyles from Oswald. And that's very, very good, because if you do happen to get cursed, at least you have a chance of reversing it. Because if you didn't buy the stone when I did, and you do get cursed, you have to run all the way back up to at least the female undead merchant. She sells a couple, but it's not an infinite supply, and they are kind of expensive. So it's just better that you try to avoid being cursed, but there are ways to cure it quickly. And if you get cursed too often and cure yourself too much and you can't buy any more of those stones, then there's a much longer way to do that. You can always Google how to do that, but hopefully you don't get cursed that much. And there's only about like 8 of them, so once you kill them, try to run and jump over that hole I fell down, and you get another humanity, which is awesome. And then, yeah, that's pretty much the entire depths. There's really nowhere else to explore. I know it's kind of roundabout, but if you do want to run through here a few times to figure out the way through this area, you can. I actually recommend that because you're going to want to run through here later and probably farm for humanity, because rats are one of the only enemies in the game that drop it, and they have a pretty good chance of doing that, and the depths is filled with rats. So you're going to want to eventually learn your way around this place because you're probably going to want some humanity later in the game, and this is a nice place to have it. So we're running back. This is where the invader battled us. We run up here, and we're in the room with the slimes, and we would go up this staircase to the right here to go to the bonfire. I'm not going to do that yet, because I'm going to run over here and kill this rat. And then I'm going to kill this rat. And over here we'll have another shopkeeper guy. He's kind of weird, but he sells some interesting stuff.
Aye, sure. I'm Donald of Xena. I'm just a peddler. I adore trinkets and oddities.
So he sells gold pine resin, which we use to defeat the Taurus demon, which is kind of nice. Sells a bottomless box for 1,000, and he sells various arrows and stuff. He sells some weird armor, the stuff that he's wearing. It's not really that great. And he sells this crystal stuff, which crystal weapons and shields break permanently, so when they break, they're gone. But in turn, they do more damage than normal weapons.
So I'm willing to share some tips. If you see anything in the catacombs, use divine weapons. That will repair the reassembling skeletons. I'm afraid I don't see anything here.
So he made a little mention about the catacombs and reassembling skeletons and divine weapons. I'll cover that later when we actually go through the catacombs. But basically, important to note that in the catacombs, there's a way to kindle bonfires even higher. You have to beat a boss for it, and the catacombs suck, so I wouldn't go there yet. But basically, if you get a divine weapon, you can kill some skeletons that keep coming back hundreds of times, and then you'll be all good. You won't have to worry about that. And now that I'm at a bonfire, I'm going to go ahead and level up attunement. And you can see that attunement slots over here goes up from 0 to 1 when I put a point into attunement. 10 attunement gives me 1 attunement slot. So now I have that. And I mentioned that that would happen, it's just that it doesn't always happen. You have to level up attunement a few times before you can get another slot. And to round things off for this episode, I'll put a point into vitality so I can have some more health. And that'll do it. Next time, I'll be at Firelink, and I'll talk to the sorcerer and the pyromancer guy and show you what they sell. We'll kill this boss, and then we'll go through the entire next area too, and ring the second bell. So, I will see you guys at the next video. Thank you for watching.